and welcome back to the Motorgraph World channel. My name is Mari and today I'm here with the newly updated Palisade. Let's take a look at the new design and how it has changed over the years. So now let's take a look at the front face. It has changed considerably, considering that it's a facelift. The grille has definitely changed. Before it was an edgier, more of a hexagon type look, but now it has the black gloss type of a grille. And I personally like the normal version compared to the calligraphy or the higher end trim. It's just a plain black gloss, and it also has the identity of the Palisade, which is a vertical lights going down. It's very much more masculine, and it also has that premiumness of the flagship SUV model. And just for the Korean market, because of the daylight running lamp regulations, you'll have this little strip here. But for the US markets, you'll probably get the version without this little strip for the vertical lamps. The overall length is almost 5 meters, 4,995 to be exact. So it's the biggest SUV lineup, almost fit for an entire family that can sit up to 7 or 8 people. We'll take a look inside as well, but this is the normal version with the black gloss. And onto my left-hand side, you have the calligraphy or the higher end trim. And they've actually added the chrome, the metallic. But for me personally, I like the black gloss a little bit better. Let's take a look at the side. And now a look at the side profile. The reason I liked the Palisade when it first came out was its sense of streamlined features. And if you look from the side profile, you have the huge fenders, the volume, and you have the straight character lines running through. You have the 20-inch wheels as well as the 245/50 tires of Michelin fitted on. You also have the option of 18-inch and 20 inches. And now this is for the calligraphy version, which is a higher trim. You have the specific wheels for the calligraphy. So the sizes are the same with 20-inch as well as 245/50 Michelin tires, but it's just the design. And they also have these huge side mirrors and with this kind of C-type light here on the side mirrors. So now looking at the rear view, it's quite a big SUV. It's literally just a sports utility vehicle. So you will have a lot of storage room at the back. So let's take a look at the trunk. And because it's so high up, the ground clearance is quite high up, you don't get that much of a height inside for the trunk. Because if you sit, it's almost as comparable to some of the Santa Fe's or some of the smaller SUVs in terms of the height of the trunk. Maybe in terms of the length, it's very spacious. And if you actually fold up the seats, you get all of this space inside. So if you're actually camping out, you can actually use this as a bed if you fold up the second row seats as well. There's not that many changes. There are slight changes in terms of the digital display. Before it was the 10.25 inches. Now it has become larger with the 12 inches of the digital display. And there has been one change made to the calligraphy version in which you get more cameras and sensors. So if you put it in reverse for the calligraphy version, you will also be able to see the reverse mode from your center display as well as your room mirror. So you'll get both of those views. Compared to the Telluride from Kia, which is more of an off-road and more of a sports utility vehicle, this is more of an upscale, premium, family type SUV. One thing that I did notice about the line of sight, if you're opting for this size of vehicle, I feel that I have a limited line of sight. Maybe it's because of the proportions of the car where you have a larger body compared to the top, but this one is slightly more limited. I mean, it won't hinder your sight or it won't really damage your driving, but it is slightly more hindered compared to the bigger or minivans. And now for the steering wheel, it has changed. Not much of a huge difference, but it is a different design. For me, personally, no comment. For the seats, they are perforated in the middle, and the middle part is lots of cushion, and it's quite comfortable. And for the lumbar support, it's also quite comfortable as well. And there's a lot of controls in which you can push back and forth, front and back, as well as a complete change for the passenger seat here. Considering the size of the vehicle, and considering that this is a family car, I think that the driver would want a little bit more space, even with the first passenger seat. But the center console takes up quite a large amount of space. If it were up to me, I would have wanted this to be a little bit more narrow and maybe a little bit more ergonomic, because at the moment, the armrest is a little bit too far back. I don't have anywhere to place my arm, but this split takes up too much space so that I can't really open my legs, or I can't shift my legs anywhere. And even at the bottom, it does have this open space right here, but it takes up a lot of room even for the foot space. For larger, taller people, this might be a little bit of a hindrance. So I'm in the second row seats. The normal version always comes in a default setting of the 7-seater. Without any additional cost. I have more than enough headroom because it's quite tall. These seats are adjustable back and forth, as well as the side incline. The drawback of the center seat is that it's very uncomfortable. It's very hard. You don't have that much space. And the backrest is also very, very rigid. You have more than enough seats even in the third row, as well as the second row. So I would just recommend for you to just sit in these seats. It's just an extension of the armrest, it seems. Once again, because it's the flagship model of the Hyundai company, you have a lot of features and you have a lot of storage room. They had a lot of cup holders. They also had a lot of storage in the door trim. They also had these areas at the back of the seats. Also, the Palisade was one of the first models with the USB ports on the back of the seats. Now they have changed it to the C-type chargers. You also have a lot of convenience features like these, and even at the back you have those chargers as well. So it's definitely a family-oriented, sort of an upscale family SUV. I thought that the third row seats would be extremely uncomfortable, but in fact, the third row seats aren't so bad. If you adjust the second row seats really far behind, I guess these would be too narrow. But as for now, I have more than enough space, and the seats aren't as rigid and hard. They're quite comfortable, in fact. And the fact that these are automatically adjustable and you can open and fold them as you like with just a touch of a button, I think would be a very nice, convenient feature to have. I mean, yes, it's not as comfortable as the second row seats or the driving seat, but still quite impressive. Some of the other convenience features that you have heated seats on the third row seats. You also have the USB charging for both sides of the seats. You also have a window. Of course, you can't open it, but you still have a workable window that you get more than enough light through. You also have these HVAC that you can adjust with direct and indirect wind. So if you are feeling a bit cold and chilly, then you can close this up and have indirect cool air. And if it's a hot day, then you can have direct cool air. So these are also functions and features that were introduced for the first time on the Palisade. So I hope you enjoyed our short but brief review of the new upgraded facelifted Palisade. We'll come back with a test drive if we can. So I hope you enjoyed our brief but short review of the Palisade. Please let us know your comments down below and see you next time.